Hey everybody, here we are. It is Tuesday again, and I know I do this every Tuesday, but I am so glad that you're there. So what we're going to do today is start with our Pottery Star quilt along, and today we're going to be picking fabrics for the quilt. And I'm going to show you how to choose those fabrics, and I'm going to also show you how to do it scrappy if you want to. So you can use fabrics that you already have around your house, or you can pick up some new fabric because that's what we really love to do, isn't it? Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn the camera around and start showing you the fabrics that I've chosen for the two versions that I'm going to make. And then we'll talk about others that you can do and how you can make it scrappy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera around. So here we are. I'm going to put this on a holder so I can use both hands here. Hi, Amy. So these are the fabrics that I showed in my original quilt design. And what I did was I chose two different color families. One is the blues and one is the reds. And the reason I did this was that the quilt is inspired by this fabric collection, which was inspired by Pottery. The designer, Tuna Finnegar from Tilda, was inspired by her pottery. So that's what this was inspired by. So I decided to name this Pottery Star. And so I've got a few different red fabrics. Hi, Kim. And I've got a few different blue fabrics. And those are the ones that I'm going to use for my print version of the quilt. And if you see on your pattern, hi, Anne. You might also, just to let you know, you might want to pull out a pen and paper or your pattern to take notes on if you've got it printed, because I'm also going to give you some information about how you could do this scrappy if you want to a little bit later. So what I chose was, I'm going to make the smallest version, which is 68 inches, I believe. Now, I had my pattern right here just a second ago. Where is it? There it is. I don't want to misspeak, so I'm going to go ahead and look it up, make sure that I'm saying this right. It is 68 square. So the smallest version is 68 square, and then the medium is 84, and the large is 100. Hi, Anna. Thank you. Hi, Gloria. Thanks. So, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and make the small version for both of the ones that I'm making, which are, they're 16-inch blocks. So it makes it easy. We're making a 4x4 grid. So anyway, I'm choosing 8 red fabrics and 8 blue fabrics to make my original version, which comes out looking like this. And then I'm also going to do a version because I love, love, love teal and mustard together. So I'm also going to make a solids version. And that version will be these fabrics. And I had a fat quarter bundle of these, which is a little bit too small for making all the pieces the way the pattern is written. So I decided to make it scrappy. So that's the reason I'm going to tell you guys how to do it scrappy. So these are some of my teal colors that I'm using for this quilt. And then these are my mustard yellows. So I have 8 different mustardy yellow greens. And I have more than 8 teals because the fat quarter bundle that I had was cut by a manufacturer, and they cut it at 17.5 inches. And you really actually need a little bit bigger than a fat quarter of your cool tone fabrics. So we will talk about that. Now, if you have bought your fat quarters from me, like my Tilda Club ladies who are saying hi to me. Hello, everybody. Hi, Dee Dee. Hi, Kim. Hi, Anna. If you bought your fat quarters from me, your fat quarters are probably big enough of your cool tone fabrics. So you won't actually need the whole third yard. And if you have regular quarter yards, you could also use regular quarter yards, but they need to be at least, well, I would say at least 9.5, but probably at least 10 inches wide. You're going to need some of those larger pieces. So to be able to cut the pieces for this quilt. I'm not going to talk about what size these pieces are on the video because the pattern has all of that in there, but I will talk about them by their letter names instead. So those are the colors that I'm planning on using. And if you look at this, you can see why. So the reason that I chose to do cool and warm is that it gives you this effect where you can see, I call these the plates. So I'm calling this Pottery Star. I was calling it Polish pottery to start with because I used to have Polish pottery, and Polish pottery is normally these colors, this blue and the red, has a little bit of green in it sometimes. So anyway, that's the reason I was calling it Polish pottery, but I decided to call it Pottery Star because I was thinking of Ray Dunn. Anyway, so you can be a Pottery Star with your Pottery Star quilt. Anyway, so I think of these larger diamond shapes as plates or dishes, and you'll get that effect if you use a cool tone and a warm tone the way that I've used it in here, and that's the reason I'm doing it this way. So we're going to talk a little bit of color theory for a minute. So you've seen the colors that I'm using, the blues and the reds for one, and then the teals and the yellows for the other. And so I thought I would take out a couple of other combinations. If you want to use your own fabrics and you want to do it scrappy. So some of my favorite combinations are things like pink and green. So here's a few pinks. And I have this box here that has some greens in it and some blue. It's got everything in it, so I'm going to pull them all out. So this green is too yellow, I feel, too yellow to go with pink. So I would not use this green personally in this stack. So I'm just trying to show you kind of how I would put this together. And also, let me go get I meant to have my color wheel here in front of me. Hold on. Okay, so here's a color wheel. And I am not the color philosophy guru, but I do know some things, so I'm going to teach you what I do know. What I do know is that your quilt will look really beautiful and have good contrast if you use a fabric that has a color on colors on opposite sides of the color wheel, because those are contrast colors, I mean. So teal and orange make beautiful quilts. I love the teal and yellow together. So if you look at this color wheel and you split it right down the middle, this side would be warm colors and this side would be cool colors. And so I really like it when I can use both sides and use one color family from one side and one color family from the other side. The closer they are to each other on the wheel, the calmer your quilt will be. The more, how do I want to put it? The more it will blend together. And then the farther apart they are, the more it'll have pop, which I really love. So as you can see, the teal and the yellow are pretty far apart. If I did teal and green, it'd be super pretty, but it'd be a much calmer quilt. So it really just depends on your style. And I love green and pink together. So that's the reason I was pulling these out. So here's some greens and some pinks that would go really good together. And then the other ones that I was talking about are things like coral and peach. I just have this box here of solids, so I was just pulling them all out. And some orange. And then you put those together with teal. And that would be super pretty together too. So it just really depends on what you like. I also did a mock-up version with some Allison Glass fabric that you might have seen on Instagram. It was in blues and like deep teal blues and pink. So that would have been going the other way on this wheel, where it was teal blue with pink as opposed to the teal blue with the yellow, which is what I'm doing. So those are just some ideas of ways to put colors together. Now, and I'm talking really fast, sorry about that, but this doesn't need to be a super long video, and I just really wanted to give you a whole bunch of information tonight. So the other thing I wanted to say is, if you have your pattern out or a pen and some paper, I want to talk about the different ways that you can do your yardage. So you will need third yards of your cool tone fabrics, or whichever fabrics that you want your plates to be. So if you look at this, the plates are these larger diamond shapes. And if you want those to be warm, so I'm more normally, hi there, Karen from Michigan. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you could make it. So I am a cool tone person. I really, really love blues and teals and greens. So cool tone is my thing, and I really, really like it. But if you love orange and yellow and red, then I would say maybe you want your plates to be the warm tones. Because if you really want a bright, vibrant, warm tone quilt, then pick warm tone colors for the ones that I've said are cool tones. And then you'll end up with these larger pieces being those bright colors that you love. So really do it the way you like it. Hi, Florence. So pick what you like. But in the quilt, in the pattern, I have said that these are the cool tone fabrics, and you'll need third yards of the ones that you want your plates to be. So whichever that is, the warm or the cool, you'll need third yards. Now, the only exception to that would be is if you have quarter yards or fat quarters that are large. I normally cut my quarter yards at 10 inches. Hi, Gail. And I normally cut my quarter yards at 10 inches, and I normally cut my fat quarters at 19 inches. So normally, if you've gotten it from me, your pieces are big enough. But go ahead and measure them, because you don't want to end up with not enough fabric. Because you are going to need at least 19 inches in your fat quarter, or at least 10 inches in your regular quarter yard of the cool tone fabrics. The warm tone fabrics, you need fat quarters. Now, if you want to do it scrappy, you can. And here's where you're going to need a pen and paper. So you can either write this on your pattern where the pieces are, or just write it on a piece of paper. So your pieces A and C need to be paired together. So piece letter A, and there's two pieces of piece number C, or letter C. Those need to be paired. So you'll need, and I'll give you an example here just to make it easier. So you'll need two pieces. So this is your A. You'll need two pieces of C, and they need to be the same fabric. So we're doing 8 for the small quilt. You'll need 8 pairs of A and C. So as long as you have a piece big enough for A and 2 pieces of C, you can use scraps for that. Then letters B and F, those ones you'll need 2 of a single fabric. So that would be 2 exactly the same. These happen to be 2 Bs. But they can be different. So I should say B and F can be different. But you need 2 B's and you need 2 F's of the same fabric. So you could have these could be your B's and your F's could be, say, this fabric, and that would be fine. They don't have to be paired. You just have to have enough to have 2 of each. And D and E are single pieces. They could be completely different from any of the others in the quilt. And then G is 4 small pieces, and those 4 small pieces need to be the same as each other, but they could be different from all the other 4 small pieces, if that makes sense. But the way that I've had you cut them is that you have 8 of the cool tone and 8 of the warm tone, and you cut all the pieces out of each of them and then mix and match them for your blocks. So hopefully that made sense for you. And I'm going to repeat it one more time. A and C have to be paired with each other. B and F, you need 2 of each of them, but they don't have to be the same. And D and E are singles. You can have them out of any fabric. G, there's 4 of the G fabric or 4 of the G pieces, and they just need to be the same as each other, but they could be different from all the others. So hopefully that all made sense. And anyway, do you guys have any questions about those things so far? I feel like I'm kind of preaching to the choir since I'm talking to all my Tilda Club girls. I see you all there. I'm going to give you a minute to ask any questions if you want to. And while I give you a minute, I'm also going to pull out another box of fabric just to give you another idea. No questions? So these are the fabrics that I used in one of my mock-ups. These are Allison Glass fabrics. And so I used these for the cool tone and these for the warm tone. And there's lots of reds and pinks. And this is another one. And this is another one. But I left out the yellows. So I used all the reds and pinks that are in this collection. And then for the cool tone ones, I used all of the blues and the aquas. So all of these colors. And this is super bright and poppy and super pretty. And I kind of wish I still had enough of these fabrics to actually make it in these fabrics, but I don't, unfortunately. Fortunately, I did make one really beautiful quilt out of these already, which I completely forgot that I had, and I need to keep working on because I've got to, it's an orange peel quilt that I'm appliquing by hand, so I need to get working on that. You are welcome, Kim. I'm so happy that you like it. I've been writing patterns. I don't know if you guys heard me talk about this the other day, but I've been writing patterns for ever. Let me see. When did I start writing? I actually started officially writing patterns probably 2009. And this one is the first one that I've actually put up for sale. All the other ones that I've done have been free patterns that I've just given away on my blog or to you guys in the club. And it's not that I didn't think they were good enough to sell. It's just that I had another agenda then. I wanted to build my blog and things, and now I am doing this as a quilt along, but I needed to also just make sure that everybody's on the same page. And anyway, long story, but I'm just glad that you like the pattern. So let me read this here. What did you say, Dee Dee? Okay, B needs to be cool and F needs to be warm, right? Not the same fabric. Yes, that's correct. But what I was trying to say was you'd need 2 of each of F and 2 of each of B. And they are not the same fabric, obviously, because they're opposites. But I was trying to explain that you just need to have two of those. They can't be one square of one color or print and one square of another print. They have to be the same print. Does that help? Piece G. It is 4 pieces. It's 4 small pieces. G is. And so they just need to be the same as each other. They don't have to be the same as anything else. Does that help, Anne? Does that answer your question? I feel like I'm kind of fumbling with that, with those directions for some reason. So G is 4 small pieces, and they all have to be the same as each other, but they don't have to be the same as anything else. Great. Okay, so if you are signed up for the Quilt Along, you will be getting more emails from me this week. Just encouraging you. So all we're doing this week is just getting our fabric cut and getting ready. Unless you want to work ahead, which you totally can, that's up to you. But if you don't want to work ahead and you want to work alongside me, that's awesome. You can just get your fabrics all cut and ready to go. And then next week on Tuesday, we're going to do another live. And we'll be making the center parts of our large star blocks. And I hope you will join me. So let me just take this off of my holdy stand and turn it around. There we are. Okay, it's so wonderful to see you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be such a fun quilt along. I can't wait to see the quilts that you make. Would you please, please, please show me the fabrics that you're going to use? I will make a post here on the page and also over in the quilt along group. And I would just love to see the fabrics that you pull for your pattern. I really, really want to see what you decide to make. I think it's going to be so much fun. And if you want to get the emails for the Quilt Along specifically, then you need to sign up for that other email list. Yeah, Kim, so any of her blues, like you could take all of the blues that she does. So Kim had asked, for those of you that are not looking at the comments, about mixing the Tilda fabric. So a lot of Tuna's fabrics are in blue, like that periwinkle blue color. So there's a lot of them in Old Rose and in Bon Voyage, and you can take all of those, put them together and mix and match them in the quilt, and it would be really pretty. Also, the reds from Old Rose would be really pretty with it, with Bon Voyage. So if that helps, I hope it does. And I know, getting another email, Anne, I'm sorry, but I promise you it's not going to be much. It's just easier to not have to send 15 different emails to all the different lists. So be easier if you're on that list. Thank you, thank you. And I will see you guys on Tuesday again. If you're not in the Quilt Along group, I hope you'll consider joining us because it's going to be a lot of fun. And I will see you later. Have a great Tuesday night. Bye.